Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. During the last couple of months we have embarked on a huge project to remove a structural wall in our kitchen. I've been wanting to do this for so long, so I'm so excited that we finally have managed to do this project. In this video I wanted to share our plans, what we did and the project costs at the end of the video.
So here's a plan of what we wanted to do, and this is basically half of our house. So when you come into the front door, my office is here, and then there is a beam across here. So there's a dotted line between my that I've just done to represent the beam. So that's my office into the dining room. And then again, I've got a dotted line here because there's a beam into the kitchen. And the kitchen was L-shaped. And then again, there was another beam, quite a big beam here. So all of that was open. And then I had this wall here. And what I really, really wanted was to remove this wall. But obviously that is problematic because this would have been the old external wall of the house. So all of this was an extension and obviously on to the sitting room this way. So there was an awful lot, basically the whole of the house, the back of the house of weight was coming through really into here, as the old part of the house. So there was a lot to think about. So we had this sort of T-junction of beams going on. And so this took quite a lot of thought. We had initially had a builder come in and they quoted us to remove all of this. So the whole thing would be open, and they quoted over £40,000. And we thought, no, not going to do that because obviously we might as well move if we were going to spend that sort of money. So we sort of thought, right, well, we need to think again. And could we compromise and keep the sort of pier here as a pillar and still get rid of this wall? Would it still give us the kind of open plan feel that I wanted? And then eventually what I want to do is put in some sort of internal bifold doors here so I can just close off my office. I've got a bit more privacy, but I can open them if I want to. So we went and spoke to a structural surveyor who came, did a visit, and he said yes, this was possible to do. And what we ended up going with was having the foundation sort of excavated here and here and new fittings put in, and we ended up having a beam put in here which comes down to 2 columns either side. So this corner here just had to be made slightly bigger, so the footings were dug, and then there's a column here and equally on this side, but to be honest you can really hardly notice that it's there, and it just meant that we weren't getting involved with what was already tying into a pillar at this end and down here. And so I'm really, really happy with that and that idea. We had a builder come then and quote, which gave us a much more reasonable quote to remove the wall, and work started in September.
So the first thing the builders did was put up these dust sheets all around the kitchen, all down the hall, and then they knocked the wall down. Now this was all done in one day, and the builders were brilliant and incredibly tidy. We were there the whole time and we could try and keep the dust to a minimum. So at the end of day 1, we had the radiator capped off and removed, the wall was down, and acro props were being used to hold up the ceiling. The next day we had the foundations dug, and we had another visit from the structural surveyor to just advise on the depth of the concrete pads which were going to be supporting the upright columns. The builders then covered the beams with the plasterboard, but the acro props actually stayed in place for a couple more weeks whilst the footings dried out. We'd agreed with the builders that we were going to do all the finishing off, and we needed to sort out this gap on the floor. We needed to basically transition down a couple of centimetres from the tiled floor to the floorboards. So the last jobs for the builders were to skim the walls, and they did an amazing job, and they removed the acro props. The next thing for us was to get on with the floor. Thankfully, I had a couple of spare tiles in the garage, so we cut and fitted some tiles to neaten the edge before grouting and fitting the wooden transition strip. We decided to buy a really long piece of pine, which was fairly thick, and we planed it to shape it so that it has a gentle transition between the flooring areas. I used some wood dye to match the colour of the existing floorboards, and actually think it works really well.
So these are the project costs. The first is the structural surveyor's report and the drawings, and actually I think we did get mates rates on this because it was company associated with my brother-in-law. The builder's costs, you can see that's nearly 6,000, and that covered everything from an initial visit, the demolition, the removal of the radiator, so plumbing and electrics, removing all of the waste. It included buying the beams, sourcing the beams, having them because they had to be cut to size, and the columns, plasterboard and the skimming. The building control, I wanted to do this correctly and in accordance with the regulations, and we instructed private building control company to deal with that, serve all the notices on the local authority and everything, and that was the total, so nearly 600 for that. They also did 2 visits, so that was really good, and we could talk to them as the whole process was going through. They were brilliant and really helpful. And then I just put in a bit for our own costs, so we sourced the timber for the transition strip, the paint, the grab adhesive, all those things. So yeah, it's 6,803 was the total for this project.
I am really happy with how this project has come together. We have added a kitchen island, which was a budget DIY, and I'm definitely going to share how we built the island in another video. My husband has been amazing, has worked so hard on this project to make my vision a reality. Thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber, then please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.